Good. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Right. Folks, welcome. We're going to be starting in a few minutes. Shruti is setting up a live YouTube stream so that folks who are not on Clubhouse can also be a part of this. That's right, Shruti?
Yep. Should be visible to everyone right now.
Everyone's here. Good.
Oh, Divakar and Sanjeev are here. Great. I'll just check whether YouTube is working fine, and then I'll be back in 1 minute.
Hi, Divakar. Hi, Sanjeev. What's up, guys?
Hi guys. How are you, everyone? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Divakar. Loud and clear. Sanjeev?
Yes. Good.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. So with this audio one, we should sometime have this bring your keyboard session as well. Where, like, you have to guess.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like either a red or a brown MX.
Well, from more specific answer.
That's not a cherry. That's definitely a Cali. Cherry would have a better bottom out. Let me hear that again. Slower.
Divakar, slower means slow. Slow.
This is N Pro. This is a brown.
Brown? Yeah, I told you. It could very well be a red because you're typing so fast. The key bottoming out was.
No, wait. So Kuldeep just recognized the keyboard out of the sound of it?
That's what these keyboards are for.
I've written less angel checks than the money I've spent on mechanical. And the worst thing about pandemic is not that people are dying; it's that I can't get my keyboard shifted from the US. I mean, that was a very difficult thing to say. I haven't.
Views described here are his own. We as a community do not endorse people dying at all. For those on YouTube Live, please don't sue us. And Kuldeep.
Yeah, don't cancel me, guys. I just love keyboards better than people. What can I say? All right. I think we have 2 more minutes before we start, guys. Shruti, is the YouTube link up?
Yes, I can see people there. I just am about to receive a confirmation from my team that it's working fine. So I'll go on mute 1 more second.
Which brand is it, Divakar, the keyboard?
It was an N Pro.
Okay. Imported or
This is from the days when I used to travel, so I got it from.
Nice.
Jakarta has a lot of things like these you can easily get compared to India.
Yeah, easier imports, I think.
Yeah.
Imports are much easier. You have a lot of trouble clearing the mechanical keyboards in customs. I don't know. I've tried to get them cleared, but barely even get them out.
Yeah, I got one from Mecca.store recently, a blue one from Singapore.
Just basically stop using Cherry MX blue keyboards. They're just too hard. 65 grams expected on every key is still too much. It gets very tiring very fast. Yeah.
Okay, I think we can start. Vanshika, take it away.
Yeah. So very warm welcome to everyone. So we are starting our Creators of Product Community Kickoff session on the Indian Startup Club today. Most of you folks must be knowing Divakar and Sanjeev already because of their presence on social media and have interacted as well. So I'll just give a quick introduction to Divakar and Sanjeev though. So Divakar is the co-founder, Divakar is the founder for this wonderful community we all, me and Shruti are volunteering for. This is a community for anyone who is linked with product, can be product manager or someone else who is directly or indirectly related with creating product. So Divakar would be walking us through the journey of creators of product, how it came to be, and what we do and why we do. Apart from this, Divakar also worked as an operating partner at Go Ventures as part of his day job. I'll also like to introduce Sanjeev, who's our special guest today. He's a great product manager and has worked in various roles before becoming a product manager. He has worked as a support sales and a marketing guy, and then navigated to a product manager. Apart from his day job, he also has his own newsletter and a blog. To keep things on a lighter note, he creates memes and parody videos as well as on his social media handle. So welcome Sanjeev and Divakar. Hope we have a good session. Excited to talk. Divakar, over to you.
Thank you, Vanshika, for that nice introduction, and welcome everyone. So I'm sort of a noob on Clubhouse, so I might do some mistakes. So tell me if I'm doing something wrong. About creators of product. I've been a product manager for a few years. Previously, I did a few things. I've been a very confused soul. Started my career as an engineer, spent a few years trying my startup, did some business stuff, and then ended up in product. More recently, I was leading product for GoPay, which is the payment arm of Gojek. Mostly we are Indonesia, Singapore, and some other Southeast Asian places. So in 2018 and 19, I switched on the mentorship. A lot of product managers and other product folks reach me for mentorship. So for those couple of years, I was meeting a lot of young PMs because I thought it helped me as well learn more about more industries and what's happening in the world. And while doing that, I realized that it's something very interesting and more people should do. And I was not able to scale because I had to start saying no to a lot of people there. So I'm generally very active on Twitter. I just post whatever comes to my mind. Most of the times, those are bad jokes. But I just requested a poll that if there's a community which is agnostic of location, has all kinds of creators, not just product managers, but designers, engineers, data folks, business folks, would you be interested? And a lot of people showed interest. And I just created a Telegram group called Creators of Product. And I just wrote 4 or 5 things that the basic principles of the group is that we have to be respectful of everybody on the group. We have to just make sure that we talk about creation of product and nobody's selling stuff there. And irrespective of your junior person or a senior person, you just be there and try to help each other. So try to create a safe space for young and experienced product creators, and that sort of took off. And after that, we just did a few things, created a mentorship program, did a few sessions with senior people from across the industry, not just from India, but from Indonesia, from West, various places. And after that, I didn't do much. The community just did most of its stuff by itself. And very soon I realized I'll not be able to do all of it myself. So on the community, I asked for a few volunteers. I got around 25, 30 people who came on to build the community with me. And well, then I had the luxury of delegating some things. Shruti was one of the first volunteers who came up. And then we created multiple teams. Somebody was focusing on helping hiring. Somebody was helping in mentoring. Somebody was helping in doing events with experts. And there were various other efforts that we were doing. But we realized that Telegram was getting a bit too difficult. So sometime in 2020, mid 2020 sometime, we moved to Slack. Now we are very active on Slack. There are a bunch of channels where a lot of discussions keep happening. We are absolutely a free community. We don't ask anybody for any kind of money. We don't give any kind of money to any of our volunteers. Didn't want to turn it into a monetization thing so far, and I don't plan to do it in future as well, because by keeping it like this, my sense is that we have been able to keep the purity of the principles, which is essentially a lot of us live in sort of a FOMO, or a thought that, hey, I don't know enough, and maybe there are people out there who know more than me, which is true all the time. But that doesn't mean that we don't know enough, or we are not good enough for what we do. So, having worked with people from across the world, I realize that most of the young folks who are into startups, or are doing products hands-on, have extremely well sorted minds, good enough to build good products wherever they are. And by giving this exposure of meeting people who are more senior, who have done more mistakes in their lives, it helps all the younger ones to be able to feel more confident about what they are doing, and don't worry about unnecessary fears or unnecessary skills or unnecessary things that they might think they are lacking. And this has been the main goal. And the second goal has been that a lot of times there are multiple communities across the world, and much larger communities, and communities run much better than creators of product. We are not so great in running the community, I think. But I don't see many communities which are open to all functions. So you'll find some communities which are extremely awesome at design, or some communities which are extremely awesome at product management. But my experience says that no product is made by just one kind of function. The biggest part of building a product is making sure that all these 4-5 different functions get together to solve the right problems for users with the right kind of business impact. So balancing that, trying to understand all the other functions, trying to understand what other people from different functions are doing, how they are thinking, without being an expert on that, having a wide lateral knowledge of multiple different things that are happening in the world is a very strong tool. So that's what we try to do at Creators of Product without forcing much. And it's very organic. People come in, they have their questions, they ask. Sometimes they get great answers, sometimes they don't get any answers. But overall, I think the focus is to increase the cumulative knowledge of the whole group. And a few months back, I promoted a bunch of volunteers as the co-founders, which is again in line of what we want. If some people have some good things they are learning, then they also have the opportunity to grow. And as I realized that even with volunteers, I was not able to scale the community to the levels where it could be. So now we have a bunch of co-founders. Shruti is one of them, and they're all leading multiple initiatives. So that's a little bit about what we are doing. I could go on and on and on, but I would rather bring the focus to Sandeep, who's been really doing a fantastic job with the kind of tweets he has done lately.
Yes,
so many
we are a fan.
truth bombs, so many truth bombs, so many things which might look like jokes, but they are actual reality. Like most of us are seeing them as funny, but they're so true.
So very.
There's a lot of pain. Yeah, there's a lot of pain when you read them out.
Yeah. So let's bring him on.
Okay, hi Sanjeev.
Hey, Sudeep.
What? And I say this with the utmost sympathy. What caused that trauma to come about? That there is a series of videos. I mean, we get it. One time rant is something we all do, and we probably do it every Friday evening over a beer. But how is it that you're consistently delivering truth bombs?
I think it's an outlet for me, right? Because you see a lot of things at work, and usually you talk about this offline. Like you walk out of a meeting, and then you go to coffee with a friend, and you're like, what has happened? Why is this like that? So I think for me, I didn't do that, and especially when we went remote, this kind of became an outlet where I started posting sarcastic tweets and memes, and the video is pretty recent. Just like one time I wanted to try and it took off, and I found that I have a lot of things that I'm frustrated about, and so my backlog of videos is actually quite big. So I think I have content for about 10 to 12 weeks.
Oh, I was just saying, whoa.
So I think it's mostly comes from frustration, but also this is a great medium to educate, right? Like I don't want to go on Twitter and talk what everyone should be doing this, or 5 best practices that you have to follow. No one's going to read that because everyone else is doing that. I think I find this as a great way to communicate the things that are wrong, things that are broken. So let's say next time someone is thinking about doing it, and if let's say someone's reminded of a tweet or a meme, and they change the behavior, that I would see that as a win.
Yeah, actually. So for a lot of people who see this, and then there are people who ask and have a dialogue, is that really what happens? And if that's a joke, that means that's not supposed to happen, and that it's not probably not appreciated. That's amazing. But I'm actually curious, how did you navigate from doing what you were doing previously, which has nothing to do with product, to something which is so deep in product thinking that, I mean, we've read your newsletters and we have impending questions coming up, but you didn't start off absolutely as a product guy. You started off as sales, and you went into marketing, and then you moved into product. And while I would love to understand how you navigated that, I just want to compliment that not everyone has the same product start, yet they have the clarity that you have, which we feel is amazing. So please let us know how you navigated that.
Thanks for that. I think I was doing support before that, so that is also there. So my first job was in support, and thinking back, I regret it then because it wasn't my choice. I was hired en masse out of college, and I was in Hyderabad, and suddenly I was asked to go to Bangalore. I didn't have a choice in that, but thinking back, that was good, right? Because starting in support means you're directly talking to the customer from day one, and you understand so much. So that's where it started, and then I moved back to Chennai because I wanted to come to Chennai. And I got in support, but then I kind of negotiated my way into a sales role because I wanted that. And I think when I was in sales and when I was solutioning, that's kind of where I figured out I like product management. So I kind of had my eyes on that from there, but that route wasn't direct. So I moved from sales into product marketing, which is one step closer to product. But again, so there I was observing product management from the side. I think that's also where I picked up most of the things that's not supposed to happen. Because I'll be in product meetings and I know that I'm not a product manager, but I know that you shouldn't be saying what you're saying. But I think after that I had the chance to join a startup as a product manager, and actually I joined there as product marketing again, moved internally into product management. So I guess I've been lucky where kind enough for people to give me opportunities and identify the potential. I think that's kind of where it all happened.
And how is it that you came about writing a newsletter about it, which is so informative that I actually want to understand how?
I think newsletter was more of it was a commitment to write more than anything, right? Because I like writing, but then my content is very sporadic. I write once in 2 months. I write suddenly 1 week I'm writing, 3 months I'm not. I think having a newsletter is more of an internal discipline where I'm saying that every Wednesday I'm thinking I have to send out this newsletter. So that forces me to go in and look through my notes and see what's interesting, what I can share, and what are some of the ideas that I want to post. So I used to post regularly on LinkedIn, and some of that content now gets repurposed into newsletter. I think it's more of a disciplined way to start writing, and also the kind of audience it is building. It's best if you control the communication, right? If you're building audience on LinkedIn or Twitter, the algorithm controls what they see. But then let's say if you're building your own newsletter, then you control what they say. You can use that to kind of be focused on communicating. I think that is also one of the.
Yeah, actually, on one of the newsletters, and I'm now directly quoting one of your newsletters, you actually mentioned saying if you're not meeting and connecting with people in the internet right now, you are missing out. So what are the things that you think folks can do to drive the value out of the internet in this scenario that when we are actually not meeting people at all?
I think to start with, maybe Twitter is a great place to start. I think for some reason, Twitter makes it feel like anyone can talk to anyone. Doesn't matter who they are. Yeah. And Twitter also has the way to organically connect people. For example, this conversation, right? This wouldn't be happening if not for Twitter.
True.
So this is a great example. So there are two ways where you can connect and network with people online, right? So the first one is you go to them, where you find someone interesting, you reach out and hey, I saw this from you, this is where I want to talk to you, or I'd like to connect with you for some reason. But me being an introvert, that thought terrifies me. Like I would never do that, so I'm very scared about approaching people. So the second way is what I chose to follow, where you kind of throw enough content out there, you put enough content out there, and you realize that slowly you start kind of creating like a personal community, like the things that interest you, you start attracting people who are interested in the same thing. And that is a great way because that's a community that's formed based on intellectual kind of interest. It's not based on location. It's not based on your job. It's not based on anything. It's more of the thoughts that kind of bring people towards you. I think that I feel more people can start doing because all of us have thoughts, but for some reason there is resistance in posting them online. There is this, what will my colleagues think? What will my friends think?
Exactly.
I'm even good enough to be saying this. I think if you break all that and start posting online, I think you'll find that you have a lot of people who resonate with you and who will want to kind of talk to you, and you never know where that leads.
I actually
that
have.
video got me here.
Yes, I actually was going to register a protest that I don't see Sanjeev as an introvert anymore. But okay, if you say it, I'll agree. I mean, you're the guest. I have to agree with you. I have a question. Oh, okay, fine. I have a question for both you and Divakar. So between the two of you, you can pick who goes first. How is it that you guys manage a time between your very, very heavy day jobs and then, in case of Divakar, running the community for us, and in case of Sanjeev, creating content in multiple formats, like multiple newsletters are different from videos. So whoever wants to go first, please come up.
I'll let Divakar go because I've been talking for a while.
Shruti, actually, you know the answer, but
yes,
it's a kind of you that you're not telling everybody. So what for community? See, there are two things which I've learned over time. The first thing is trying to prioritize things which need deep work and other things which don't need deep work. So I don't know how I'm doing this, but yes, there's things which need where I want to spend more time. I spend a lot of time, but 80 to 90% things I don't spend a lot of time. I trust my instincts on those things, and I just discuss it with people in the community, with my group, with my co-founders, and say like, hey, do you think this is good enough? Should we do this? Should we do that? Without wasting too much time on thinking a lot or doing too much effort, like spending 4 days in building one doc and then sending you. I test ideas when they are very young. So that's something which I do to save myself from sticking on to a large number of things at a large number of time. Also, I try to take out time for things which I really love doing outside of both like work and community thing, which is like I enjoy watching nature, watching birds. So I would take out time whenever I can to go out with my camera for a couple of hours, just in the nearby, take some bird photographs, maybe on a Saturday morning. I'll go and do that. It will just sort of recharge me to do this. So essentially, it's a prioritization thing. I don't keep a very long list of things to be done. I try to finish small things as and when I can. I try to reduce the number of meetings I do, which is something which I've learned over time. When I was a young PM, my calendar was all full of meetings and stuff. Now I try to not have any meeting which is over half an hour, unless there's a very clear, defined agenda for that. If it's on me, I try to send things to read to people before my meetings. So just by organizing well, you can reduce your meetings by more than 50%, and that itself frees up so much time for doing many things. Lastly, I do this mental exercise that if I'm already feeling busy with the couple of small things that I do, how would people who are handling massive responsibilities live their lives? Like how would people, let's say, the CEO of Amazon would live, or the head of countries would live? How would they manage? There must be things that people are doing right to be able to handle maybe 100x the responsibility that I have. And then I realized, yeah, it's just in our mind. We don't have so much responsibility as we think, which frees up a lot of mind space. Sanjeev, over to you.
Wow, okay, that's a lot of wisdom I think I learned from that, because most of my thinking is slightly tactical. So like the way I think about the content creation is I don't think of it as a side hustle, right? So like I'm thinking, okay, you know what, I have to send out the newsletter every week and I have to post a video every weekend. So like, this is the kind of two set things that I have, and I've been able to do it for about 2 months now, which is good. Hope I'll be able to keep it up. So I think if you're thinking about content creation, if you're thinking it's a good to have, it's a side thing, then I don't think it'll ever happen. You have to take it as seriously as you take your job, because again, for me, if I'm thinking long term, then I want to build this over time, right? And for that to happen, I can't start like 10 years, 20 years from now. I need to start today, and I need to keep it up consistently. I think once you get a thought in your head, you realize how serious it is, and you will give it the same kind of importance that you would give your day job. So that is one. And in terms of like the micro content, right? I think it's just a matter of removing the resistance from your thought. For example, like I tweet mindlessly, I post on LinkedIn mindlessly, so I just keep posting content. The fact that I'm able to kind of post a lot is because I don't care what like the kind of response I'm going to get, right? So I don't edit, I don't think like is it going to offend someone, or is someone going to take it seriously? I just post it out there, and you over time you realize that you accumulate these thoughts, and like once you scroll back on your own profile, you have all these thoughts which can now turn into a blog, which can now turn into a video or something. I think just accumulating all those things over time will really help. It saves a lot of time in the future.
Great. So we're getting a few hand raises, and we'll just reset the room once and let people know that this is the first kickoff session for the creators of product upcoming later on sessions. We're also live on YouTube so that we could be inclusive. That's one of the core principles of our community. We're discussing building community, managing time, managing, in case of Sanjeev, amazing content in multiple formats for with our day jobs. We'll take questions once we're done asking the two guests that we have here all of the questions. Vanshika, you have the next question.
Yeah, sure. So Sanjeev, those are very good insights on how can we, take the points and think about how I can add it into various things I have in my plan. Another question I have is that there's a lot of, debate about that a person should be generalist or specialist in his or her domain. So what do you think that the person, let's say for the product manager, should the person be specialist in finance or in a particular domain, or the person can be generalist and still do a good job and all?
Okay, so as a product manager would say, it really depends. It really depends on a lot of things. Because it does. I'm a generalist, I'm biased towards that. I am naturally attracted towards anything. I will get bored if you ask me to do the same thing over and over again, or ask you to specialize. So I find it benefits me because I'm able to draw from different things. Like my support experience helps me in product management, my marketing experience helps me while selling. So all that happens. But I find that some people are really good at doing one thing well, and they should be doing that. Like, I wouldn't go and tell someone who's good at doing something like, you should be specializing. Why are you specializing? I think it totally depends on their interest. For example, I am naturally gravitated towards multiple things, and I wouldn't want to work against my gut. So I would say that if your gut says that you should be going deep, you should. But at the same time, if you find that you're bored and you find that something will interest you, I think you should definitely attract towards that, because I find this true, especially for people who came out of the Indian education system. That doesn't train us to understand what we want to do all our life, right? Like I think you take your first 5 to 8 years just figuring out what you really like doing, and I think everyone should have that room. So maybe early on in your career, being a generalist helps because you kind of explore and you kind of find your niche. But at some point, specializing has its benefits. So yeah, I confuse everyone just like a product manager. Straight answer out of me, but yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah. But I think it makes sense, right? For some people, being a specialist work out really well, and it's their USP. And for some people, put them in any job and they're able to pick it up. Divakar, what's your view on the same? So,
my view is very clear. It should be generalist. Okay. Also, my view is that I've been a product manager and product roles for a while, so it's slightly glamorized for people who are not product managers. Essentially, you have to run around in the org. So you have to talk to engineers and design and business and marketing and operations and legal and compliance. So even if you are a specialist, which one will you specialize in? If you specialize, let's say you are in a fintech company and you specialize in compliance. So how much will you specialize? Will you become a lawyer? But if you become a lawyer, does that mean that you will not work with design or engineering or marketing or growth for that perspective? So irrespective of what your specialty is, as a product manager, you have to get your things done. You have to move things. Essentially, you have to understand the user, you have to understand the business, and you have to understand how things work inside the company. And to be able to do that, one will need to build generalist skills to get things done. So Sanjeev also said the same thing, but I'm just saying them more like almost straightforward way that you have to be a generalist.
Yeah, I think. And I think one of the things that you mentioned was we have to get things done by people who actually do not report to the guy who's asking for things to get done.
Yeah. So the way I put it is that product managers are like anti-Spider-Man. So it's like Spider-Man used to say that with great power comes great responsibility. For product managers with no power comes all responsibility.
Yeah.
We have with us Pankaj also.
It's slightly glamorized, the whole product manager role.
Mm-hmm.
When I say it's glamorized, I'm not saying it's bad. I love being a product manager. I love those, the problem solving and like figuring it out. But it's from if you're not one, you might find it very glamorized. But yeah, it's almost like an anti-Spider-Man role.
Pankaj, your views, and also welcome.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Great discussion. Yeah, I mean, look, I think product managers are definitely glamorized, as you were saying, but you know, it's a tough role because you really do have to balance a lot of different things, and if you, like you said, Diwakar, if you don't know the business side, it's very hard to balance that with the product and technology side. And you know, I'm not a product manager. I have built a lot of products in my life, mostly B2B type stuff. But you know, it was never a field when I was doing it. Now it's a core part of the whole engineering and product development process. Mm-hmm. And you know, I think people also tend to underestimate what's required to be a good product manager. And I do think a lot of people don't really even understand what a product manager does. Like, are you writing code? Are you designing? Are you figuring out what users are not clicking on? Like,
yeah,
what are you actually doing? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yes, true.
Yeah, I don't think most of product managers understand what product management is for.
Yeah, we can have Sanjeev's video talking about this very clearly. Yeah. So product managers do, I think, a lot of things apart from checking on the ETA, which is the main agenda at the end of the day. Yeah. Okay. So very good points, Sanjeev, Diwakar, and Pankaj. Another question I have is, since most of you have worked in different domains in your career, right? Started job in some other role and then navigated your career to different profiles. So there are a lot of people who kind of restrict themselves after, let's say, 10 years of experience or after spending some time in one organization that they cannot, do something else, or there is some, the momentum is missing to, navigate their career easily. So what do you think you have done, or what do you think you do regularly, consistently, that has helped you in, being where you are and being on top of what is going in the industry and navigating your career well?
I spend a lot of time on Twitter. That helps.
Yeah, that was going to be my answer as well.
Twitter somehow seems to kind of filter the best of, it somehow knows what you need to be reading, and most of my kind of knowledge comes from Twitter. Either people sharing things on Twitter or talking directly. I feel like the people are a lot more candid.
So you're saying we should replace books by Twitter?
Not replace, add.
Breaking news. Sanjeev thinks we should replace books with Twitter. Breaking news. Okay, no, honestly, if you were to recommend,
if I have to answer your books versus Twitter question, you should just go around asking all the product people.
Yeah.
What is your streak of books? Book reading. How many days continuously did you read some book compared to what is your streak of Twitter? How many days did you continuously check Twitter, which is almost like every day?
Yeah, that's more with screen time. But Divakar, we will not make it difficult for everyone here.
Yeah.
Vanshika, do you have any more questions, or can we open the floor because we have about 10 minutes left into the 40-minute session?
Yeah, I think
If I could take like 1 second to just plug the club.
Sure.
Yes.
So thanks everyone for doing this in the Indian Startup Club and also joining. If you're not a member or a follower, please follow the club. That way you'll get notifications about other events that we do. We do discussions with founders, investors, sometimes just open AMAs, all kinds of stuff. So please follow the Indian Startup Club.
Hey, thanks, Pankaj. So we're gonna open the floor for anyone who has questions. Please feel free to raise your hand. We'll bring you up on stage, and you can ask Divakar, Sanjeev, Pankaj, anything. You can ask me and Vanshika also. I'm not so sure how much will be helpful. In the meanwhile, Divakar, if you were to pick between why you picked product management versus what you would do as a passion, which is photography, which one would you pick and why?
Product management, any day.
Okay, so then what's with the whole barrage of pictures that keep coming in our feed?
You can't make money from taking bird pictures, so you have to live life as well.
But not for Nat Geo.
That also makes me happy. Also, I've realized over time, a lot of people say that if your hobby is your work, then all your life is good, etc. I think sometimes hobby should just say hobby because they are something which take you to a different world. They make you happy for a while, and it's a practical thing to sort of separate your work from some of your hobbies, just for practical purposes. So I would, if I had to choose, I would go back and do the same thing. I would build products because it makes me happy. It makes me happy to see if you build something, it goes out, people use it, you get feedback, you change the world a little bit in some way, and that's exciting enough. It's not that if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it anyways. So I would any day do the same thing.
Okay, same question, Sanjeev.
Okay, I'm saying product management because it kind of lets you, it's like all encompassing. Like for example, let's say my hobby is me and I can build product. I can build a product about me. So I can do that for anything, right? And that multiplies. Like now I can put that in hands of so many other people and they can also do the same thing that I want. So I think product management is kind of more than a job. As a discipline, it's very, like, it enables a lot of others to do what you enjoy doing. I think that's good. So product management for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Okay, if there's anyone who wants to answer this for themselves, we'll randomly pick you up, bring you here, let me know. Oh, where'd she go? I think she dropped off. Okay, no worries. So we're almost over time, and I wanted to make sure that this was a crisp, simple session where we let everybody know that Creators of Product is a community which you can join for free, of course. Help co-creators, help product managers, get help from product managers, get help from designers, engineers, everybody who is a part of creation of a product. We are available as a Twitter handle and as a Slack community. Feel free to join in. We have a few credentials to our names, but I will not want to brag in the first session here. You can check that out on our Twitter handle. This has been great hosting both you.
Why don't you want to brag, Shruti?
Because if I start bragging, Divakar's here, he'll later be like, you didn't have to say that. They would have just found out. You shouldn't have said that. And even though he doesn't like pay a salary to us, somehow he just gets the respect.
Got it. Well, a little bragging is not a bad idea. So.
Okay, so we.
Maybe I'll brag a little bit.
Thanks, Diwakar.
So if you are a young product creator who's looking out for some mentors or to just look around what other people are doing, it's a decent place for you to look around. If you're a senior one, you could come in for the same reason or to come and teach and answer. So lately, there's this guy Deepak who works at Uber, who's been very active on our Slack, and I've been following that. And the kind of answers he's been writing to questions like, "Hey, I've been getting all these guesstimate questions. How should I answer that?" He wrote such a beautiful answer to that it just made all of us learn something new. So if you're a senior person, you think you know good enough stuff for you to share, please join and share your stuff. You might also get challenged, which will also improve your learning of the whole creation process. And lastly, if you're an entrepreneur or a company, you can come and find interesting people. A lot of companies have found interesting candidates from the community. And we also have some more interesting things like alpha user program. If you're a young company, you don't have to worry about the first 50 users. You can just get from create as a product. We also call it GrowPro. And then and absolutely free everything. So you can just go and talk to these people and give your product to thrash it. And these are people who are building products, so they can give you some really tough feedback.
Fun fact, Leher was one of our products that we went through the whole program of alpha users.
So that's what we are doing. Happy to answer any questions. I'm very active on Twitter. My DMs are open. Shruti is very active on Twitter and on Slack board. Happy to answer any questions. And it's interesting. I'm generally not active on Clubhouse, but this is interesting.
So have I convinced you enough, Diwakar, that you will
No.
come back? Oh man,
It's not inclusive enough for me. I think most of the people that I want to really work with and help might still be on Android. It just makes me a little unhappy that I'm creating sort of FOMO for all those people who are not here. That's the only reason why I'm not sitting on Clubhouse.
Oh, they'll be here soon enough. Don't worry.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Diwakar. Thank you, Pankaj. Thanks, Sanjeev, for taking time out and answering really random questions for us. Everyone in the room, you're welcome to please come and join our community. Help everyone, help yourself. Please let us know what we can do to help you if you have a question or if you have any help that you would want from any of us at the community. Thanks for joining. This was great. Thank you, Anshika, for co-hosting. Very helpful. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice night.